Welcome to Nice and Blunt. My name is Adam Riancho, and we are back on YouTube. And if you have been subscribed to the channel for more than a year, you know where I am. You recognize this location. I am back in Los Angeles. I have left Minneapolis. I don't expect I'll be back there. And I'll probably be here. Who knows? Who knows how long? Maybe I'll move soon. Maybe I won't. I do not know yet. The future is uncertain. But for the short term, we know one thing. We are hopping into a underdog best ball draft. Let's get it going. Good to be back. Good to see a familiar sight. I've been away for a couple weeks. I mean, I was moving. Can you really blame me? It is what it is. But here we are, and tomorrow we're going to get the schedule released, and that's going to be a very important piece of information. The channel will get going at a much heavier rate very soon, I promise you. But thank you for the patience the last couple weeks without any videos. But here we are on Underdog. If you don't know what Underdog is, it's best ball, which means you draft a team and you never touch it again. So it starts the best lineup every single week. Excuse me. Needed some water. Anyways, best ball, you don't have to worry about the team. You just draft it. It's very important about the roster construction. You're in a tournament most of the time. We're going to enter into the Chihuahua, and this is a $4 tournament. You got to finish top 2 out of the 12 teams that are in your league in order to get your money back, in order to advance to the quarterfinals in week 15, semifinals week 16, championship in week 17. And if you do happen to win this tournament, you will take home $30K for first place. So that's what we're shooting for, obviously. And just in case you're not aware of the scoring format, because it's obviously very important, it's half PPR. It's 4 points for passing touchdown, only -1 for an interception. Otherwise, it's all pretty much the same. Nothing too fancy, but the size of your roster is important. 1 quarterback in your starting lineup, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers. That's the key for this format if you don't already know. 1 flex, 1 tight end, and then 10 bench spots. You're drafting 18 rounds, and you're hoping for the best. But before we get in, just don't hit that button just yet. Not quite yet. I just want to bring up some of my other teams because I have been drafting a little bit. And there was a team I drafted earlier today that I was really, really happy about. I'm just going to mention it to you real quick before we get into the draft. I promise we'll be starting in like just a minute. I just want to go over this build at pick 5 because I really have some excitement for it. I had Justin Jefferson at pick 5. Then Saquon fell 5 spots to me at pick 20. And then somehow Kyron fell 9 spots to me at 29. So I started off wide receiver, running back. And then Josh Allen fell a full 12 picks. He normally goes at pick 32. So my first 4 were really, really interesting. Then I went heavy wide receiver because you got to pay attention to that position. I went Amari Cooper, Jordan Addison, started to lean towards that Viking stack. And then I went Ladd McConkey, who fell a little bit to me, followed by Curtis Samuel to pair up with Josh Allen in Buffalo. Then I went Jake Ferguson, who also fell like a full plus round. Then I completed the Vikings triple stack with TJ Hawkinson, paired up Blake Corum to handcuff Kyron Williams, Zeke, and Jalen Polk, followed by Ray Davis, J.J. McCarthy, Demario Douglas, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Sam Darnold. I just went for it with that Viking stack. If I have Josh Allen, I'm willing to do it. Otherwise, I am never really like dying to take J.J. McCarthy. And if I do, I feel like I need to take Darnold. I don't trust J.J. on his own. But one thing I just want to mention, MVS signed in Buffalo earlier today, and that skyrockets his value if you can get that stack with Josh Allen. MVS at the end of your draft is a valuable piece, even if you don't have Josh Allen. But that's it. I'm done bragging. Now it's time to actually do one of these, and we will head over to the Chihuahua. So I'm on like a 10-second delay. So if you hit the button now, if you join the league like right now, I will hop in it in just a few, and hopefully we can get into this league together, and that would be really fun. But let's see how many spots are available. If so, please join me. You can use my code Nice and Blunt. There are 10 spots available in this league, so come on in. This tournament has been filling fast. There's already like almost 75% of the entries taken up, and hopefully this thing will get going very soon. But while we wait, let's see who's here in the chat. Howard, nice to see you as always. Yep, I did get a haircut. Thank you for the compliment, and we'll see how long before my next one. But we got 6 spots left. Hopefully we don't have to wait too much longer. Already down to 5. Yeah, this thing is filling decently quick. I hope we get a good pick. I hope we get a good pick here. But sometimes that's just how it goes. Sometimes you don't get the best spot, and sometimes you get sniped a lot. As long as you're like top 6, top 7, ideally you can get one of those best available wide receivers. But once you hit like pick 8, pick 9, pick 10, I think that's kind of a rough spot to be in, at least for the top of the draft. You kind of miss out on some of the elite talent at the receiver position, which is very important in this format where you got to start 3 every week. But here we go. We are filled, and this thing should kick off very soon. We have the 101. We have the number 1 pick. That's nice. Fight Me is here in the chat. Is the listener league still a thing, and did I miss all chances to join it? No, you did not miss your chance. We do have 12 teams from last year. I do not know if everyone's going to return, but if you do want to join, you can email me at niceandblunt@gmail.com, and you can reserve your spot, subject line league, and just let me know you're interested, you want to join, and I have a feeling we're going to have enough for 2 different leagues this year. One will be like an auction draft like we normally do, and the second one might be a snake draft or perhaps a super flex draft. The second league will be a little bit different. I'm hoping to have 2 subscriber leagues going this year, but no, please, if you want to join, let me know. I do need to contact you, and if you email me at niceandblunt@gmail.com, that is how we get this thing going. But at the number 1, I do not want to go Christian McCaffrey. I want one of those elite wide receivers, and I am foregoing Christian McCaffrey, and I am taking CeeDee Lamb. I think he is the better way to go, because the way that the wide receiver position goes, you are kind of screwed at the turn if your first wide receiver is drafted at pick 24. There's so many wide receivers that go between pick 1 and 23 that you are kind of behind the 8 ball if your first guy is like Mike Evans. It's not that that's a terrible pick, but I feel like I feel way more comfortable going with CeeDee Lamb over Christian McCaffrey than I do starting with CMC at 1. CMC is 28 years old, and while that's not like, super old or anything, it is worth noting he had over 400 touches last year. He played 20 games. He went into the Super Bowl with a ton of touches. Last year nobody saw more work than Christian McCaffrey. So I'm not saying he's going to get hurt, but it is a factor, and I feel much more comfortable taking the youth of CeeDee Lamb over Christian McCaffrey, especially in this format where we have to start 3 wide receivers every single week. But Fight Me, glad to see you're back at it. Your channel's awesome. Triple fire emoji. Thank you, my friend. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I have missed it. I'm happy to be back, and I'm looking forward to the schedule release tomorrow. I'm going to be, oh boy, the next week or 2, probably going to stretch that to at least 2 weeks. You'll see my division predictions, all my win-loss picks. I mean, doing it in May, there's always a chance that people get hurt and stuff. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I can't wait. I'm so excited for the schedule to be released tomorrow, and the channel's going to be much, much more a part of my weekly routine starting tomorrow. I guess starting today, given I'm here doing a live stream at the moment. But yeah, I'm pumped for the season, and it's only mid-May, but I wish it was September already. But we'll get there. We'll go through every team, not just win loss picks, but also my rankings. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun off season. Last year I didn't do too many videos in summer, and this year I'd like to change that. I want to get started a little bit earlier. Looking forward to it as well, my friend. But Howard would like to know, why do we believe Gibbs is going to be so much better than Montgomery if they split series? They drafted Gibbs top 12. They drafted Gibbs super high. Gibbs started to blow up at the end of the season. He was a rookie, and they paid Montgomery a lot in free agency. There was a clear role for Montgomery, and it's not like it's going away. It's not like Montgomery's going to disappear, but over time, they just have to start feeding Gibbs more. He's the more explosive player. He can take it to the house from like anywhere, and with that first round draft capital, he's the guy you want. He's much younger as well. So, I would say Gibbs is definitely the guy you prefer. It's not like Montgomery's irrelevant, but Gibbs is definitely worth a higher investment for sure. I don't hate the Montgomery value. I still think he's a decent player. But if they had like added somebody in the draft on offense that was like a big contributor, I'd probably feel like Montgomery was a little bit more risky, but he'll still probably get 10 touchdowns himself. It's just that Gibbs deserves to get more touches given where they drafted him last year. But Jonathan, happy to see you, man. Yo, indeed. Happy to be here. Looking forward to the subscriber league. You're part of the subscriber league as well, and it's gonna be a fun season, my man. Gibbs really did blow up starting after week 6. He did. He was averaging 19 points per game. Yeah, and he wasn't getting like that many touches. He was getting like barely 15 per game. So when you have that upside, you probably deserve a few more touches overall. But we're about to be back on the clock, and I'm not taking Devon Achane. That's the last player I'm fucking taking. Thank you for sending him off the board. I like Mike Evans. Diggs is interesting. Boy. I think I'm probably going to take Diggs here. I do like the Houston offense. I want an investment in it. And that will be my pick. So we're starting off CeeDee Lamb, Stephon Diggs, and now we're back on the clock. I've taken Mike Evans so much on the channel. I want to diversify, but I've only taken him a couple times in this format. I do already have a team. I keep track of my entries in this format, and I already have a team with Mike Evans and CeeDee Lamb on it. So I'm going to pivot, and I'm just going to grab the best tight end available, and we're going to go Sam Laporta. When I have an early tight end, I feel really good about it because I forget about the position a lot. And I feel like this third round is super, super flat at the receiver position, that having Laporta is a bit of an advantage because tight end does kind of dry up a little bit quickly. And I'm never going to regret this pick. Like, we're talking about Gibbs, we're talking about Montgomery. Other than Amon-Ra St. Brown, they don't like, their offense is just as good as last year, and all 4 of them scored 10 plus touchdowns. I would expect that to continue with Laporta. Let's just remind you what Laporta did last year as a rookie. You would expect him to be even better in year 2. As long as he's healthy, he will be even better. He had 120 targets, 86 catches, 889 yards, 10 touchdowns, and for best ball, which is what we're playing after all, he has that massive, massive ceiling. There was this 3 touchdown game. There was another 2 touchdown game. There were games where he went over 100 yards, 2 of them with 84. Like, this usage is going to go up for Laporta. And he just has such a high ceiling, such massive explosiveness. To know that I'm like almost done at the position. Like, I could go the entire draft without drafting another tight end and feel fine. I think Laporta in the 3rd round is absolutely worth it. You could argue for him in the 2nd, but here at the turn, I'm happy to take him. I'm good with Laporta as the clear tight end 1, and we want a little bit of a different build. There's a lot of teams, whether it's at pick 1 or 2 or even 3, sometimes CeeDee Lamb falls, that start wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. We're gonna mix it up a little bit. We're not gonna take a running back, but we are gonna take Laporta along with Lamb and Diggs. Jonathan in the subscriber league, Laporta was cash for me, and best part is he was free. Yeah, last year he was the guy that if you took in like round 13, 14, wherever he was going, you made a lot of money on Underdog and in your redraft league as well. Laporta was fucking fire. So I think he's only going to get better. The thing about Kelce is that, yeah, he was amazing in the playoffs, but Kelce actually really underperformed in the regular season, and I would be a little concerned that happens again because he's getting older. Let's how old is he? Kelce's gonna be 35, as opposed to Laporta, who is how old? Laporta is 23. Yeah, it's much safer to invest in Laporta than it is with Kelce, who has some injury concerns. But for the first time last year, Kelce did not go over 1,000 yards, and he only scored 5 touchdowns. We had 10 touchdowns from Laporta last year, and not only like 100 yards less. So Kelce is a little bit scary, although the stack with him and Mahomes is obviously really nice. But just to keep in mind, like, he had a rough stretch. Like, Kelce starting in week 9 here, I feel like he was getting a little bit tired of the regular season. He was kind of just waiting for the playoffs to get going because he was fucking dominant in the playoffs. He was fantastic in the playoffs. But you know the Chiefs are going to be back in the playoffs again. That's where they want him to succeed. And I don't think they're going to push it with him. Let's just make sure we're not on the clock. No, we got some time. But yeah, only 1 touchdown in the final 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games. He also sat out week 18. That's irrelevant for this format. But he also did miss a game in week 1. And I wouldn't be shocked if Kelce did go through a bit of a slump again. So if you made it to your fantasy championship last year with Kelce, he fucking sucked at the end of the year. 5 for 28, 5 for 44, 3 for 16 in the critical weeks, the fantasy playoffs. If that happens again, Kelce's not a good pick. But ooh, thank God I pivoted back. We're about to be on the clock once again. Okay, here we are. And we do not have running back yet. Y'all know I love me some Pacheco. I've taken him a lot on the channel. And I do have some teams with him, but that's probably our pick. He's just so fucking safe. I also want my 3rd wide receiver. I'm going to take Pickens for sure. Yeah, give me Pickens. George Pickens. And we will not be going double tight end. Yeah, I'll just take Pacheco. I will take Mr. Pacheco, who was phenomenal for his team. With Rashee Rice and all of his problems, I feel like they're going to lean more on Pacheco. I know Worthy was drafted in round 1, but I have a feeling he's going to start slow. I feel like that's a that's a rookie I'm like not dying to take unless I'm like stacking him with Mahomes. Maybe he's the next Deshaun Jackson. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like Marquise Brown is probably the most valuable Chiefs wide receiver, and it's not like Marquise Brown's like fucking elite. So I think Pacheco is the safest pick here. I think he's going to be the most valuable Chief in that offense. Jonathan says Kelsey's too busy going to T Swift concerts. Very true. Hollywood Brown is the Chiefs pass catcher I want. I would agree. I think Hollywood in a contract season has something to prove, and I feel like he's kind of the most likely to go over 1,000 yards receiving. I feel like Rasheed's gonna miss at least 4 weeks, if not like 8 weeks. Rashee Rice could absolutely miss half the season, 100%. He's plummeting down the ranks appropriately. Kelsey, I don't think goes over 1,000 yards like he didn't last year. Um, Maybe if he plays all 17 games, he could, but I wouldn't bet on it. And then Worthy, I think, is a little bit hit or miss, and Worthy goes off the board at 54 to the team that has the Kelsey Mahomes Worthy stack. So in this format, I mean, that's not like a terrible plan, but to take Kelsey round 3, Mahomes round 4, Worthy round 5, a little bit pricey. It's fine. I have no issue taking Mahomes round 4. If he falls to round 5, great value. Kelsey I prefer in the 4th, but Worthy I think I'd like Worthy a little bit more in the 6th. He does have that elite speed. Maybe I'm underestimating him, but I don't know. I I can't like fully get behind it for some reason. I think he'll have a good career, but I'm a little bit worried about him in his rookie season. I think he might have a slow start. I think he could struggle for the first couple months. Whereas Pacheco's going to be excellent. They got rid of McKinnon. They have not brought back McKinnon as of yet. They did re-sign CEH, but no one's afraid of CEH. Pacheco is probably going to score a touchdown every single week. I could see fucking 17 touchdowns in line for Pacheco next season. And he's also a decent pass catcher. Pacheco does catch passes. More so as the season went on last year. But that was starting to become a decent part of his game where he consistently saw like 20 plus touches starting in like week 4. I guess yeah, there were a few random weeks where that didn't happen. He did have his concussion briefly, but it's not like he was like legitimately injured. And then he was a big part of their offense in the playoffs as well. A lot of touchdowns in store for Pacheco, who scored 9 last year in only 14 games. I would expect that number to go up. So Pacheco's super safe. I do have Pacheco as a top, I want to say 10 running back, but at worst I have him number 12. I will be giving you some rankings videos once we hit June. Once we're into June, that's where I'm gonna hammer out the details of like, okay, I like this guy right over this guy specifically, but at least in terms of value, round 5 Pacheco. Very, very safe. Cannot go wrong. But on the clock pretty soon. I should show you the board. That's probably a good idea. Okay, so Cooper, Cook, Andrews, Rashad, Worthy, Pitts, Richardson, Christian Kirk, McLaurin, Marquise, Dalton Kincaid, Keon Coleman. A little high on Coleman, but does go to the Josh Allen team. That's a nice value on Kincaid. That's pretty nice there. But we're about to be on the clock here. And if he does fall to us, I kind of like George Kittle. But we only have 3 receivers. I should probably take another one. Let's see what happens. Okay, we don't get sniped. But are we actually going to take him? That's the question. We already have Laporta, so no, I'm not going. I'm not going to be taking Kittle. I'm probably going to take Brian Thomas. I do like me some Brian Thomas. Boy, the price on Zamir has escalated quickly. A few weeks ago, he was going like pick 100. Now he's at 81. But we've spoken about him, and I like him. I do have some teams with Pacheco and Montgomery, but I'm not afraid to take him. We're also investing more in the Detroit Lions, which correlates with our Laporta selection. So, yeah, we're taking Brian Thomas Jr. and David Montgomery, who I know is a fan favorite, at least according to the people who tune into these live streams. Y'all seem to love Montgomery, which for his price is very fair. I don't think he's like, at worst, he's a top 20 running back. I feel like that's very safe. Unless he gets injured, but you can say that about anyone. So I'm not going to let that scare me away. But I don't see a scenario where he doesn't put up at least 8 touchdowns. I would expect him to put up another 10 next season because I want to say Montgomery scored like 13 touchdowns last year. And he did miss a little time. Yeah, he scored 14. He played in 14 games, and he did score 13 touchdowns. Yep. 1,015 rushing yards, 13 touchdowns. Only 16 receptions, so not much of a pass catcher. That role has completely evaporated in Detroit. But he's only going to be 27 this year, and that is not an age that terrifies me. So if he stays healthy, I would expect another 1,000-yard season, another double-digit touchdown performance. And as much as the Lions should be giving Jahmyr Gibbs the ball more, Montgomery is not going away. He is not going to disappear. So we have a decent floor with him. And let's remind you of our team. We went CeeDee Lamb, round 1 at pick 101. Then we took Stephon Diggs. Then we took Laporta. Then we took George Pickens, Isaiah Pacheco, Brian Thomas Jr., and David Montgomery. So we don't have a quarterback yet, but we're opening the door for Dak Prescott if he falls to us. We're opening the door for the Steelers quarterback late. I don't think I'm going to take that. I don't think I want that situation. But we're also opened the door for Sam Laporta's stack with Jared Goff, who just got paid. Montgomery, like we mentioned, doesn't really catch passes, so that doesn't really matter for the Jared Goff investment. But we could also take Trevor Lawrence, given our Brian Thomas Jr. selection as well. So the Diggs stack, not on the board. Stroud and Mahomes went. And while Pacheco does catch passes, it's not really a stack that I'm like craving to take all of the time. So we still have options. But boy, Joe Burrow is falling considerably. An ADP of 73. So right where we picked last, where we took Montgomery, and it's pick 87 now, and he's still available. Jordan Love goes over Joe Burrow. I don't know if I'd do that, but this team does have a heavy Green Bay stack with Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Jordan Love. That's not bad. When I do take Reed, I do like to take Love. But the team at 7 that has T. Higgins probably going to get a steal here. They're on the clock if they do go Joe Burrow. They only have one running back, though. They might feel the pressure. Nope, they do it. That's good value. That's the right pick. Especially in these tournaments, you want a stack. You want some type of stack. But our pick is coming up soon. And we could further invest in the Steelers offense with Jaylen Warren. I do kind of like Trey Benson as well. So at running back, that's something we're considering. But if we do not get sniped on Dak. I think I'm going to have to go with Dak to pair up with Lamb. We get sniped. Bummer. I feel like I'm going to get sniped again. Oh, sweet. We do not get sniped again. Okay. So Warren is absolutely my pick here. The question is, what do I do with the second selection? We don't need tight end. We already have Laporta. We're taking Jaylen Warren. He's got that 20-point upside. Do I go with Purdy? We can't stack Purdy with anyone. We're going to be reaching on pretty much everyone. Maybe I go Mostert. Fuck. In a bit of a jam. I'm just going to take Mostert. I'm going to kind of screw this team at 2 that has A-Chain, because I think A-Chain is just such a bad investment, and I've seen so many teams pair up A-Chain and Mostert. We're just gonna play it safe. We're gonna take another running back, and snipe them. Keep them from having the real Miami running back I think you want. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe A-Chain is actually the player to have, the player to target, but I just don't trust him. I really do not. They gave Montgomery a contract extension, or they gave Mostert a contract extension. Mostert is now under contract for 2 more seasons, and this year is fully guaranteed. $3.7 is fully guaranteed. Yes, he's a bit older, but he scored 21 touchdowns last season. And given his size, I don't really see his role completely cratering on the goal line. Maybe you disagree with me, but at the very least, we're playing spoiler to Team 2, and they do not get that Mostert handcuff. But I think if one of them scores more touchdowns this year, it's still Mostert. So that's our build so far. We went CeeDee Lamb, Stephon Diggs, Laporta, George Pickens, Pacheco, Brian Thomas, Montgomery, Jaylen Warren, Raheem Mostert. 4 running backs, 4 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and it's the best one you could have in Laporta. We have 2 elite prospects. Number 1 at the position in CeeDee Lamb and Laporta. That's not bad. But it is one reason why I'm not in love with the 101 selection, to be honest with you. I feel like it's a hard position to get really good value at quarterback. Especially if you go with CeeDee Lamb over McCaffrey. It's very rare that Dak falls to you at 96. So if you want him cuffed to Lamb, you have to reach on him at 73. And that feels like a bad move, given who you're passing up on. There's still really good players in the 7th round. We miss out on Dak by 2 picks, so it is what it is. I'm not super happy about it. But this might be like a 3 quarterback build, especially with having Laporta. That is a route that we can go. So I'm definitely going to be taking a quarterback at our next opportunity. I think at this 120, 121, 10, 11 turn here. I think that's probably the plan. At least 1 quarterback. And depending on who it is, we might grab another one right after if we get good value. We mentioned that Lawrence is a possible investment. Goff is also a possible investment. And, I mean, you know me, Chargers fan. I do love me some Justin Herbert as well. So that would not be the end of the world. If Trey Benson somehow continues to fall to us at pick 120, I will very likely be taking Trey Benson. But I'd be shocked to see him fall almost 20 picks. Running back is also not the most important position for us here in round 10, given we already have 4 of them. But who knows? There he goes. Okay. I'm glad that that's not an option for me anymore, because I'd have a hard time passing up on Trey Benson at pick 120. In case you're watching and you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button for me. It really helps the channel grow. I mean, obviously that's how it grows with higher subscribers. But hit that like button as well if you're enjoying this video. Help me get some more exposure for the video, for the channel. You know, all the ways to support me on YouTube. Subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff. But okay. Josh Palmer goes pick 117. Appropriate. He's been slowly moving up the board, and he's like one of my highest drafted players. I don't think we need Singletary. I do think quarterback's about to fall off a cliff, so we're just going to go with our stacks. Trevor Lawrence paired up with Brian Thomas Jr., and Jared Goff paired up with Sam Laporta, and minimally paired up with Montgomery, but that's not something I would tout as an important stack. Unless Jahmyr Gibbs went down, you're not going to see more than 20 catches for Montgomery next season. That's just not going to happen. So that's who we got. It's not bad. I will be taking a third for sure, though. The nice thing about Goff is that sometimes he's really bad. Sometimes they like don't use him very much, or like they score a bunch of rushing touchdowns. But their offense scores a ton of points, and when they do favor the pass, he blows up for like 20, 25 points easily. He has like great numbers at home. He averages like 21 fantasy points at home. The last like 2 seasons, Jared Goff has been very productive. He did just get paid as well, so we're in good shape there. We're hoping for a bit of a Trevor Lawrence bounce back, and he was okay, especially from a rushing standpoint. Lawrence is much more mobile than he gets credit for, but he did get hurt last year, and that's why he fell off a cliff. He was dealing with a lot of injuries second half of the season. That high ankle sprain, we thought he would be done for possibly the year. He came back and played in that game, I believe. It was the game. Oh no, not in that game. It was the game where like they didn't have a cart for him and they made him walk to the fucking locker room. But he was back the next week, and then he played like a few more games, and then he just kept taking a beating, and then he missed like the last like 2 games of the season. Yeah, Lawrence was injured, but should put up good numbers. And if it wasn't for all the injuries in Jacksonville, they probably would have been a playoff team. We probably wouldn't feel as good about the Texans, who won some playoff. At least they won 1 playoff game, not multiple. But the Texans probably wouldn't have made the playoffs if not for Lawrence and Christian Kirk getting hurt. Especially Lawrence getting hurt. But yeah, we need a bounce back from T-Law for sure with this team. Okay, so after our Goff selection, we see Herbert go, Singletary go. Zeke go, Jacoby, Gus, Tajay, Brandon Cooks, Jahan Dotson, Khalil Shakir, Kirk Cousins, Blake Corum, Gabe Davis, Cole Kmet. Wide receivers gonna be brutal the rest of the way. I can already tell. Once Brandon Cooks gets taken, the position is fucking disgusting. Receiver gets brutal quickly. So, given that knowledge, maybe Mostert was not the right pick. Maybe Montgomery was not the right pick. I feel like maybe we should have grabbed a receiver in the 7th, 8th, or ninth round. I feel like I would like this team a little bit more with one more receiver. But who would I have taken? I wasn't going to reach on JSN or Godwin. Godwin goes at the turn. I'm not in love with Godwin. He only scored like 2 touchdowns last year. Terrible numbers with Baker, and then they added Jalen McMillan, a player I'm high on. I don't love Godwin for best ball. Not a big fan of his price point. And then everybody else here is kind of reached on. Not a fan of Hopkins. Not a fan of Rashee Rice, Christian Watson. Jameson Williams went way overpriced. Deontay Johnson, Curtis Samuel. So like, yeah, we made our bet. It just didn't work out. But we're about to be back on the clock. I do like the price on Charbonnet. He's really talented. There aren't many running backs going later that have more talent than Charbonnet. He was a 2nd-round pick last year for a reason. Did catch 33 receptions. I think Charbonnet's our pick here. And then we're done with running back. We're probably not taking tight end either. I'm not in love with this, but we don't have anyone to stack with Matthew Stafford, so I'm going to leave him on the board. I'm going to take receiver, and I think moving to the team with Kirk Cousins, a player I've believed in the past, should be better this year. I'm going to go with Darnell Mooney. I think Mooney's one of the best options available at this point. I'm not saying he's like a league winner, but I'd much rather have him than Quentin Johnston, and he is the number 2 receiver on this team. There's a true opportunity for him to be more productive than Kyle Pitts. So yeah, our wide receiver position is a little bit thin, but we do have really good options at the top with Lamb and Diggs. Pickens is good. Brian Thomas is decent. I wish I had another receiver. And it looks like Angus is telling us we should have gone Rashee Rice. I mean, I probably should have gone receiver. I don't know if I should have gone Rashee Rice. Until we get some clarity on his suspension, I would rather let him fall to me at pick 96 because I've seen him go that late. I truly have, than take him at 73. But you know, people have their preferences. If I got Curtis Samuel at pick 96, I think I would like this team so much more. That's who I like in this range the most. I think Curtis Samuel has a chance to be equally as valuable, if not more valuable, than Keon Coleman, who Curtis Samuel is being reunited with a former offensive coordinator that I believe he had in Carolina before he got his big contract in Washington, and I feel like they didn't use him properly. He has dealt with some injuries as well. But Curtis Samuel, very productive player last year, way more productive than Jahan Dotson. Got a decent contract. I think Curtis Samuel's really valuable where he's going at the 8-9 turn. But Angus is also asking thoughts on Herbert at this price. He's basically free and super talented. Yeah, I'm very comfortable with the Justin Herbert price. You can also get some really good stack options with him. Like Lad McConkey has a really fair value at the end of the 6th. Sometimes he falls to you in the mid 7th. Like I got him at 78 or 77 recently. And Herbert off the board as like quarterback 18 or something. Let me see. In this draft, he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Quarterback 17. Yeah. That's too low on Herbert, in my opinion. At the worst, it's his floor. There's no risk with drafting Herbert. He's absolutely a good selection. I don't know if he's going to be a top 10 quarterback this season because his weapons are not the best. Let's be honest. The Jim Harbaugh staff has gutted the offensive firepower when it comes to the passing game of the Chargers. It's gonna be a probably like next year when they draft another option until Herbert gets like really good weapons. Because I don't know if McConkey will start off red hot right away. I think Joshua Palmer could possibly be their number one wide receiver, but Palmer's going late. I mean, he went a little early in this draft in the 10th, but for a number two receiver, that's really good. Palmer's really valuable. I don't trust Quentin Johnston. I think the team that stacked Herbert with Quentin Johnston is not doing it the right way. You want either McConkey or Palmer, but they do have some other options, as in DJ Chark that was just added. I'm not saying Chark is great, but he is a decent deep threat and will get some work. They also drafted Brendan Rice, as well as Cornelius Johnson out of Michigan in round 7. And it's not like there's nobody there, but it's not like they're great options. So it's fair that he fell, but he's still him. Jared Goff, Trevor Lawrence, and Kirk Cousins are a bit of a tier break, and I think Stafford is the last quarterback you can feel like really confident in where he is going. And then Baker Mayfield has potential also going this late. I might be going Baker Mayfield if he's available in 4 picks, because I see that he is not yet gone. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Herbert's price tag. Very fair value. Can't be upset with it. That's for sure. Here we are, and yeah, I don't have anyone to stack with Baker Mayfield. Maybe I should have gone with Chris Godwin or Mike Evans, but I have a lot of Evans already, and I actually don't have a lot of Mayfield in this tournament, so I'm happy to go with Mayfield, who fell 11 spots to me here. Here we are going with Baker Mayfield, but that's going to finish up quarterback for us. And now we're in a rough spot. We just got to take some shots on these receivers. That's pretty much all we're doing the rest of the way. I do think Marvin Mims has some potential. Damn. But I think if anyone's going to actually give us usable weeks, it would be Demarcus Robinson. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I have a lot of confidence in Marvin Mims, whereas Demarcus Robinson is actually on a good offense. And last year, say what you will about him, I know he's not like the best talent ever, but Pickens are super slim here, and he had some very productive games. He had a stretch of 4 weeks with a touchdown and 10 targets in multiple games. These last 5 games of his were decent, especially for fantasy. 55 and a touchdown, 46 and a touchdown, 44 and a touchdown, 82 and a touchdown, 92 and 6 catches. There's something there. He was re-signed for how much? I mean, it's not like anybody else wanted him, but what is his fucking contract? $4 million fully guaranteed. $4 million guaranteed. I'm gonna be trying to build out this roster with some lower end names, players that are not always taken on every team. But Angus has a good point. Michael Wilson isn't terrible. Could be the number 2, and I feel the Cardinals as a whole should be way better. I agree they're going to be better. However, Michael Wilson is a player that needs to be falling in the ADP because they just added Zay Jones. I think Zay Jones is going to be battling it out with Michael Wilson for that number 2 receiver slot. And it's really the number 3 option because there's obviously Marvin Harrison, and then there's also Trey McBride. So that's the crux of the targets on that team. And last year when um, Kyler was healthy and Hollywood was injured, Michael Wilson did not do fucking shit. Michael Wilson was really bad when he had the chance to be the wide receiver 1 in that offense. Like these last 4 games of his 2 bagels, he did catch a touchdown, 4 for 35, and then in week 17, to your point, Angus, 6 for 95 yards. There will be a few blow-up games for Michael Wilson, but I feel like there's more touchdowns available for Demarcus Robinson, and here at the turn, I'm willing to reach on someone, even though it's probably misguided. I should probably have gone Michael Wilson, but with Zay Jones coming in, people are afraid of Michael Wilson. He's falling now 20 picks. I could possibly get him coming back around. If he's available on the board, I'll probably go Michael Wilson. But yeah, the receivers that were available to us are being passed on left and right here. Nobody wants them, and there's a reason for that. But also, congrats on almost hitting 3,000. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. I feel like this last like 2-week stretch, or maybe 3 weeks since I've been on the channel, I've lost some people. That's fair. I mean, people who signed up, who subscribed recently, are probably like, what's this channel doing? There's not much content coming in, but I hope I can hit. I'd love to hit 3K by the 4th of July. I feel like that's probably going to happen. Hopefully, that's my goal. But yeah, appreciate it, man. Appreciate it, my friend. If y'all don't know, I feel like if you've listened to the channel for a while, Angus has actually made an appearance on the channel. We had a podcast 2 years ago. Angus was in one episode. I'd like to get you back on the channel, my friend. I feel like a second opinion. You do kind of check me on some of my bullshit occasionally. And it's also just good to have another perspective. You have a different draft strategy than I do, and you've been very successful. Like in the subscriber league, you won, what was it, year 1? I believe you won year 1. And then, or maybe you were in the championship last season, and then I feel like you were in the championship the year prior. Yeah, you got second place last year, and then you were very competitive the year prior, but you did not win the subscriber league. You won our hometown league. Angus is my friend from high school, my best friend. Anyways, we might get Michael Wilson. No, we don't get him. We don't get him. Second place 2 years in a row in the subscriber league. Absolutely painful. That's what it is. Yeah. Very close, but no cigar. Very close. There's always next year. Okay. We're not taking running back. We're not taking quarterback. We're either going wide receiver or tight end. And as I mentioned, we are not going to go with Michael Wilson previously because Zay Jones is there and possibly just as valuable. So I'm probably going to go Zay Jones here. And yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But then at tight end, I might just ignore tight end completely. I might only go with one tight end here. I wouldn't hate it. But we do have Baker, and I want some correlation with him. And this is a rookie that I was very high on, and I believe in his talent. I'm going to go Jalen McMillan so that we have some correlation with Baker Mayfield and a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Hoping for the best. Little bit disappointed in his landing spot. Kind of a rough spot to like really produce high numbers with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin above him. But a player that I do believe is very talented and we'll take a look at his profile because Jalen McMillan is a guy I like. Runs a 4.47 at 6'1", 197, 32-inch arms, really good measurables. It's not listed here, but I know that he has 10-inch hands, and it's good to be a wide receiver with very big hands. But he was hurt last year, not a super productive season at Washington. But 2 years ago, he was better than Jalen Polk. He was excellent, phenomenal in 2022. 79 catches, 1,098 yards, 9 touchdowns. He has some upside. So who knows? Maybe Mike Evans gets hurt. Maybe Chris Godwin gets hurt. Maybe Baker Mayfield just gets him involved. And there's some potential. I need somebody to correlate with Baker. And he does. So this is our team. We went with CeeDee Lamb in round 1 at 101, followed by Stephon Diggs, Sam Laporta, George Pickens, Isaiah Pacheco, Brian Thomas Jr. Through the first 6 rounds, I love this team. But this 7, 8, 9 turn, it's not that I'm not happy to have these running backs, but I feel like having one of the wide receivers in this range, ideally Curtis Samuel, would have been the cherry on top for this build. If we could have gotten Curtis Samuel, Dak Prescott at pick 96, 97, I would love this team. I would be so happy with it. But we did not, and we got in a bit of a pickle with 4 running backs. Jalen Warren, Raheem Mostert. They're good players, but that forced us into going Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield at quarterback, and that's not bad, but I can't say I'm like ecstatic about it. We have Zach Charbonnet as our 5th running back. If anything happens to Kenneth Walker, he's a league winner. Definitely has that type of upside. Then we went Darnell Mooney, and then we've been reaching on some wide receivers because we're getting desperate and we're hoping for some upside with Demarcus Robinson, Zay Jones, Jalen McMillan. So this is not my favorite team I've drafted in this tournament, but it is competitive. I'm not upset about it. I just wouldn't say it's my favorite team, but it can definitely compete. It can absolutely compete. We got to finish top 2 in this league to get our money back and advance to the tournament rounds. We'll see what happens. But in round 18, we're going to be taking a player that has not been drafted at all at this point. As long as people are not aware of what he's capable of, that he just signed today, then I know who we're taking. Got to scroll down for him. He is buried. He is low as fuck. I almost thought he might have been taken already, but nope. MVS. Since 12 hours ago, is now one of the most valuable 18th round picks you can make because he signed in Buffalo, and maybe Keon Coleman's legit, but maybe they don't have a deep threat. Maybe he takes on that Gabe Davis role. Maybe Marquez Valdes-Scantling has like 4 or 5 games with like an 80-yard reception for a touchdown. I think MVS is the new Gabe Davis. And he's going in round 18. Well, he's going undrafted, actually. So, now that we know where he's playing and it's in Buffalo, like, I thought about maybe taking him. Hell yeah. So, that's our team. That is our roster. And let's just remind you of the full squad before I log off. T. Law, Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, Pacheco, Montgomery, Jalen Warren, Raheem Mostert, Zach Charbonnet. Our running back core is good. That's definitely one of the strengths of our team. We may not have like a top 3-4 guy, but with Pacheco as our 1, Montgomery with a high floor, Warren with a super high ceiling, and Mostert, who put up top 10 numbers last season, we've got some very good talent. Charbonnet, we're hoping gets a bit of a break with Walker possibly going down. CeeDee Lamb in this lineup every fucking week. That's for sure. Diggs, going to contribute. Possibly he's more valuable than Nico. Possibly he's a bust. If Tank Dell is better than him, then we may have wasted that pick. But in round 3, I love Diggs. Absolutely. At the 2-4 turn. Can't go wrong with Stephon Diggs. George Pickens at round 4-5. Great upside. He went over 1,000 yards last season. And with no Deontay Johnson, he's going to get a ton of volume. Brian Thomas Jr., high upside, correlates with Trevor Lawrence. Mooney, we're hoping for the best. Demarcus Robinson, we're hoping for some touchdowns. Zay Jones, we're hoping that he's better than Michael Wilson. McMillan to correlate with Baker needs to help us out. But obviously these last 4 are not guys I'm like ecstatic about. That's why we went with our 9th wide receiver in MVS. Just hoping for some spike weeks. And that was the beauty of our 3rd round, Sam Laporta. We didn't need a number 2 tight end to feel somewhat decent about this team. Is it probably smart to have a 2nd tight end, especially for the bye week? Yeah, it's not bad, but honestly, since we don't know who's being, what the schedule's going to fall, how it's going to fall, and who's going to have the same bye week as Laporta, I could totally fuck this up and be in the same situation where I draft a tight end that gives me a bagel regardless when Laporta's on bye, because he's either on bye himself or just fucking sucks and puts up a bagel. It's around 18 tight end. It's not someone that really you feel too confident in general. So that's the beauty of Laporta as our tight end 1. We actually can get away with not drafting a 2nd one, and we're still in decent shape. So Laporta does save this team. It's easy to forget about him, but that's the only way that this team actually works out. Laporta is critical. So that's our team. Let me know what you think in the comment section. If you made it this far, then please hit that subscribe button for me. And it's good to be back. It's good to be back on YouTube, back in LA, back on the channel. Whoa, I don't know if you can hear that. I just dropped something. Anyways, that's it for me. I'm going to see you next time, probably as soon as Thursday, with my Chargers and AFC West win-loss prediction video. That's going to be the first one I do. 100%. Absolutely. But schedule gets dropped tomorrow. Channel takes off starting now. I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Nice and blunt.